Folks at home, welcome back to the 5-acre pond build, and if you missed any of the previous videos in this series, I'll put links down in the description below. But unfortunately, we've had several problems over the last couple of weeks. All of the rain we've gotten from the hurricanes has created some pretty bad erosion, and we've had predator problems and even new pest problems that have showed up on the farm. So I've got a lot to catch you guys up on. Let's just jump right into it. So since the pond has been built, we've had 2 big hurricanes come through our area and dumped a lot of rain in the pond, and that's a good and a bad thing because we want to have all the rain to help fill it up, but if it comes in too fast, it's definitely going to create erosion problems, and they're starting to get worse. So in the last video, this is what the erosion looked like. But that last hurricane lingered for a few days, and we got a lot more rain, and it made all of our erosion problems much worse. So this is what it looks like now. Unfortunately, all that silt fencing and hay wattles and grass that we planted just wasn't enough for this volume of water. And we even have another area over near Clyde's Cove that got hit really bad. So this time around we're going to try a more permanent solution that'll hopefully keep this water in check. But the first thing we got to do is bring in some more clay to replace that 2-foot clay blanket that it broke through. So we got the driver to dump it right on one of the big eroded spots. And then next up we got 5 tons of stone delivered in various sizes. So I got a few different size rocks. These are river rocks and they range anywhere from 4 up to 7 inches. And I'm hoping that these are going to be big enough. We may end up having to get some bigger ones brought in as well. So we were hoping to use the big orange tractor on this project, but unfortunately rats decided to chew up the wiring harness. So my tractor's out of commission for a couple of weeks and it's going to cost $3,000 to replace that. Ouch. So if any of you folks know of a good way to keep the rats out of the tractor, leave it in a comment down below. But thankfully, Mr. George and his trusty blue tractor were willing to come help us out. And so the first thing we needed to do was get half of that clay brought over to this other eroded area. And as he dumps it in, I'm trying to pack each layer of it so it'll be compacted just like the rest of the clay. Unfortunately, the rollers and everything are already gone, so you got to do all this manually. So the next step, we're going to put out a liner. It's basically just a woven geotextile material that'll keep that water from washing down through it. And we weren't sure how we were going to get Mr. George's tractor to move that 1-ton pallet of stone, but we hooked a chain up to it and it slid right over. And now's the fun part, dumping out the rocks. And thankfully, only a few of them went down into the pond. So the next step is spreading out all the rocks, and this just so happens to be one of Sarah's favorite things to do is play with rocks, so we brought her out to do a little bit of manual labor, and she had a good time doing it. And we basically just repeated the same steps with the other eroded area. We'll show you the finished product here later in the video, but now it's time to go check in on our 2 pet ducks. So these guys have been a lot of fun. We've been coming out and feeding them and watering them each day, and they're starting to warm up to us a little bit. We're going to be naming them later in the video, and you guys have seen some of the predators in the previous videos. We had a couple big owls come and try to get into their pen. Even had a couple raccoons check them out, but this time the bobcat found them. Let's watch what happens. Man, that is wild. But thankfully, our duck pen is holding up like Fort Knox. Nothing has been able to penetrate it so far, so luckily they do have a safe place to sleep every night. So one of the last projects on this pond build is building our dock, and it would have probably already been finished by now if it wasn't for all the rain. Because when it rains and that clay gets wet, it is slick. It's hard to even stand up down there. But thankfully, we did have a few dry days. So let's go check out his progress. Alright folks, here it is. Time to check out the dock. He's almost finished. He's been working on it every day that it's not raining. He's got about 1 day left to finish out the very end of it. Let's go ahead and check it out. So we've got a 20-foot walkway right now. We're going to need about an extra 5 feet to bring it all the way in right here. But everything's shaping up and coming along nice. Nice and sturdy. We're going to put the automatic fish feeder out here to feed the bluegills every day. And I'm also going to take the rest of that pea gravel and spread it out up under the dock right here and all around it, because you know the bluegills are going to be hanging out around here year round. And we took the leftover pilings or post and just dropped them off right there. I'm going to do something with it out here for fish structure. I hadn't quite figured out what I'm going to do, but I think he's done a good job. Everything's nice and level. Alright, let's take a look at underneath the dock. That's where all the fish are going to hang out. So we still got plenty of depth here. I'm thinking this is probably about 4.5 feet right here. He put X braces to make sure everything's nice and solid. I told him not to put X braces here on the end post because you know Sarah's going to be catching bluegills standing right up there. I didn't want her getting their line tangled up right here at the end. But as far as the clay, everything went good. I was out here with him whenever he dug the holes for the post. He definitely didn't go through the clay liner. You can see that some of the clay that came up out of the hole whenever he dug it up. And so we're good on that. We should not lose any water due to this dock being built. We got some birds hanging out here. It's like it's their own private island. Got one of the duck decoys over there. So he's going to finish up that dock tomorrow, and that's the last thing I was waiting on before we filled the pond up. This is our 2-inch pipe coming from the well, and I think I'm going to extend it. I don't think that puddle's quite deep enough, so I think I'm going to have to extend it all the way to that deeper water out there. But next week I'm going to extend that pipe all the way out there, and my reasoning behind that is I don't want to create a lot more erosion right here in this area, so I want to get it all the way to where the water's at to hopefully reduce the erosion. Turn it on Monday. And again, I know a lot of you guys think you can fill up a pond quick, but at 100 gallons per minute coming out of a 5 horsepower pump, it would still take this pond 60 days to fill up without any rain or any evaporation. So still going to be a few weeks, but as soon as we cover that entire bottom deep area, you'll start seeing the water get up here in the shallow area. So now it is time to name our 2 pet ducks, and we've been watching them over the last couple weeks, and they have a lot of personality. One of the funny things that they do is they've caught on to the camera that we put in there to record them, and they'll let you film them for a while, but when they've had enough, they say the show's over and they knock the camera over. And it's funny because they both do it. So we went through all of the names that you guys suggested, and these were some of the ones we liked the most. Dazed says you should name the female Millie for the brown top millet, and Maverick for the boy because he's going to have his work cut out for him. And sticking with the duo theme, the warehouseman says Hansel and Gretel. Liz and Sarah like that one. Another duo from S. Brent says they should be named Johnny and June. And the duck house should be Folsom. I like that one. But we showed Sarah all the names we liked and let her pick the final winner. And the one she chose was Allie and Bama. But she said she wanted it to be Allie and Bam Bam. So the boy's name is Bam Bam. And the girl's name is Allie. So Jeff Dykes, shoot me your address and I'll send you out a prize package. Now let's take a look at some of the personality that Allie and Bam Bam have. And check out what Bam Bam does here. He dips his beak down in the sand and then puts it in his water bowl over and over until it's completely full of sand and dirt. And people told me that ducks do this, but it was kind of cool to see him do it for the first time. But that's a typical boy, gonna dirty everything up. And after a long night of being on the lookout for the bobcats and owls, they both like to sleep in their water bowl. Also, if you're wondering why all the grass around here is turned brown, that's just the short lifespan of the brown top millet we put out. You can see here, those seeds are just now starting to turn brown. That's whenever they hit the ground, they'll kind of come back and repopulate, and there'll be a whole nother field full of green millet. But another good thing it did is allow that bahia grass to go ahead and get its root system developed, and it's starting to come up now too. But one thing I think I'm going to do, you can see we have brown millet all the way around the backside. 2 or 3 weeks away from being able to plant that winter ryegrass, and that's what we're going to do. So everything will be nice and green out here throughout the winter. We may do like a winter rye and a clover mix. All right, and this is what this area looks like. We're going to need about another ton of rocks right here to finish that out. And I went ahead and put the fabric down there to help with that eroded area where the water washed through the clay there. But one thing you definitely can't see right now is how good these rocks actually look. Once the water hits them and washes all that dirt off, you'll get to see it. But these are the same rocks that I used in the backyard pond, and it's a really nice mixture of the river rock. And this is like a bluish grayish color, and there's a lot of reds mixed in and whites mixed in. So after the next rain, I'll swing through here and show you what they look like. So we're just going to keep making modifications and adding stuff. We may add some more check dams up there to slow the water down, but just keep getting after it until we finally take care of all the erosion issues. Alright, now let's take a look at some of the trail cam footage, and just like always, the bucks are piling into the soybean patch. And I think they have their own patented move here. I've been calling it the jump circle. It's like they jump up in the air and spin in a circle. But either way, you can tell they're having a good time out here on the peanut farm. That is hilarious. And now we got a couple of the bandits coming through, the raccoons. And the mama and the little one staring at the ducks. They're not really sure what to think about them. And another big group of deer out there eating the peanuts. And then a few have to come and take a drink out of the pond. Since we've gotten some cooler weather, they've definitely been more active. Now, it's been a while since we've given you an update on Bonnie and Clyde in the backyard ponds, so let's go check in on them while we do a feeding. This is our typical 1,000 shiners that we put in every week. And you can see down there, Bonnie and Clyde and all the bluegills are happy and healthy. Lily pads have started taking over. Still eating good, and they're ready for that pond to be complete. And check this out, I was filming one of our Ninja Turtles, and look what's hanging out right behind him on a lily pad. That is one brave frog. You make the wrong jump and you become fish food. And speaking of fish food, it is time to feed the most aggressive bass in the world, Mr. Moby. Got him. That was a feast tonight. Alright folks, that is going to wrap up this video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button because next week is the week we've all been waiting for. We're turning the water on and we'll begin to fill the pond up. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and we will see you all next time.